We move on to some brighter news, and that is the football that's played on the park, and we'll start things in William Buck Premier. And they're coming. I don't know if they've been speaking to Carlton and they've stolen. They know we're coming, but De La Salle is certainly coming. Said here first, I'd like to point out on this panel that De La Salle can make finals. Marty, I still believe that's the case. They were very impressive against Old Trinity.
Yes, they were. Yeah. Look, I think we need to actually preface that by saying they were very impressive. However, I'm going to ask the question, Trinity, was it a loss they had to have? I mean, if we go and think about, they've been up for a long time. I know that they had lost during the year. However, do you need sometimes to have a loss to recalibrate before you get going into finals? And that's not detracting from D-La, because D-La were very good. I mean, as people would be aware, if you look at the results, it was 27 scoring shots to 13. At one stage there, the score was 6-3 to no score. And I think a lot of people were shaking their heads wondering, if you were not at the game and you were probably tapping your phone asking yourself, is that actually the right...
They did come back though, Brenton, didn't they, Old Trinity? They came right back into the game and they just couldn't overhaul De La Salle in the end.
Which they have done all year. Their fitness levels are elite. But I think it was a perfect storm. I think De La are in some sort of form. They had serious momentum going into the game. And as you said, Old Trinity, maybe the energy levels weren't there, concentration maybe wasn't there.
The confidence of the playing group was quite strong. The settled team obviously helps. I think that if you go through it was interesting. I read something today where Quentin Gleeson was saying at Blues they played 43 players in the seniors. That doesn't help sometimes, but if you do get a core group of players, if you're only making one or two changes rather than 6 or 7, then you can really build some momentum. Then you can get going. Then you can actually identify. Players get used to each other. And if we think about the AFL, premierships are won with 33 players. Yeah. They're not won by 52. Yeah. So
steady lineups definitely win games, and it makes you more consistent. If you, as you said, if you're making changes to a quarter of your team week in and week out, you can't build that consistency. Yep. But you are playing a ballistic style of football. Your ruckman is dominant.
Oh yeah, no,
he's a very good player.
And I think we acknowledge that, and I've acknowledged that he is the form ruckman in the comp, and I think that we have spoken about that previously on the panel, that he's rucking very well.
Ferraro.
Yes, Sam Ferraro. I mean, he's and I don't think he'd mind me saying this, and I hope he doesn't. He's a hell of a lot bigger than me, but then most people are.
He's obviously a big fan of the show. If he knows he's going to be saying it.
But I mean, he's not a great leaper, but he's a very smart player, and he's quite mobile. He still does get around the ground.
A good way for De La Salle to finish off the day and head into their 60th celebrations 60th anniversary celebrations as a club on the Saturday night magnificent function, where the celebration of all things De La Salle took place. I'm sure you enjoyed a few to bilks. A few to bilks at the end of the night there, Marty.
Throughout, mate. Throughout.
Uni Blacks and Old Zaverians. Uni Blacks and Zavs had a chance to possibly sneak into the 4 if they were able to get the win here. They couldn't do so. Blacks keep their finals hopes alive with a win over Old Zavs. And Will, I'm not sure if you saw much of this game, but Blacks pretty solid in the end, and whilst they've been up and down this season, they got the win.
Very solid indeed, the Blacks were. But Old Zavs have dropped off the boil a bit, haven't they? I'm not sure exactly what's happened down there.
Haven't won since you made your prediction.
Exactly right. I know. I'm really, once again, sorry.
Your alma mater will not be happy with you. They won't be happy down there.
But Uni Blacks played with a bit of pizzazz, and Charlie Richardson was back to his best. Simon Hogan played well. And they just outclassed the Zavs at the uni ground as well. So maybe at home they had a bit of an advantage, but they definitely outclassed the Zavs, and in the end ended up smashing them.
It's good return to form for Blacks. They've been down for a few weeks, and they definitely bounced back this week. And Zavs, you put the Moz on them. And
I don't think the Zavs have won in that red jumper yet, which I might check that fact, but I'm pretty sure Old Zaverians have not won in that red away strip that they're wearing at the moment. And they look great with the light blue socks too, and we should say well done to all clubs that wore the blue socks for the thick and thin round and the mental health, men's health awareness round. It was fantastic to see all of the Premier section clubs and then a lot of other clubs in the lower divisions as well all got on board and wore the socks. Superb effort. One club that I like the look of the blue socks on, and certainly watched a bit of St Bernard's and Old Scotch. St Bernard's just playing sublime football. The Cardinals obviously fired in recent weeks in their bid to try and avoid relegation and extend their stay in Premier to I think a 35th year. but St Bernard's just too strong. Their skill and ball use, particularly in these opening passages here in the first quarter, was just outstanding. The ball, when they have it in their hands, seems to not hit the ground, and it's something I know Anthony Rock, when he first took the job at St Bernard's, was amazed at how much amateur sides were prepared to just kick and go and hope really that their players would win the ball at the next contest. But he's really, over that 18-month period he's been at the club, brought in the fact that we hold on to possession, we kick to a target that's on their own and can take an uncontested mark in a way, and St Bernard's do that better than anyone almost at the moment.
Control the footy. Time in possession is a massive stat in footy these days. The longer you have the ball, the shorter amount of time the opposition does, and you can do more damage with it. But that's one thing I noticed about against Blacks last week when I watched St Bernard's. Their ball use, especially off half back and through the midfield, is elite.
It's actually a very good effort though when you think about it, the way how comprehensively they've actually won at Old Scotch on a tight ground, where sometimes if you hold on to it for too long, then that's when you do start getting overrun, you do start running into trouble, and it is quite difficult on occasions to find the free man because you can actually close the game up. And Scotch would have been buoyed, I would suggest, by their form over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Brenton, Old Kerry and Uni Blues, the Panthers continue to struggle. They've had a bad run in recent weeks.
They certainly have, and one thing I noticed is their average winning margin is 45 points, but the average losing margin is 31. The gap between their best and their worst is growing by the week, unfortunately. When they win, I actually looked at their win-loss points differential. At points 4, between wins and losses, they're 34 points in the minus. And against their 7 goals, actually.
Now, Marty, you'll tell us what that means.
Yes.
I'm not a mathematician. Well, I was actually going to say that I think are we concentrating too much on Kerry? Let's have a look at Blues. Blues are building.
Blues are more than building. They're in some sort of form, and their midfield is actually, it's dominant at the moment. Led by Ross Young, they're prolific, and they're dominant around the ground, especially around the stoppages.
So therefore, Kerry in a stage where right now they're leaving too much to too few, whereas Blues are at the opposite end of the spectrum where, yes, they do have Young, Mugger and Summers running through the middle, but they've got more bodies, more willing to make more effort.
I think Kerry just looks like a side they're bereft of confidence. Yeah, they've just got no confidence. Even their good players are not hitting the targets. That, we exalted Kerry for their kicking ability earlier in the season, and now they're struggling in that area. So I think it's just the pressure that the opposition's bringing, and then a confidence thing. They're just completely sapped.
Exactly right. Ball in hand, they were hesitant. Their ball movement was treacle. It was like treacle. It was very slow. But as you said, they just missed easy targets, and Blues just made them pay on the rebound.
And yet, if we turn the clock back to, shall we say, the first time we met at the start of the year for the show, where did we actually have Kerry?
Oh, I think they're about 8th. I think was, or maybe 9th in the bottom two.
So therefore, are we now being a little glass half empty when we should be saying, look, it's been a terrific effort so far? However, there is. Yes, I'm about to say. Yeah. I'm agreeing with what you're about to say, which is, when you're in that position, you should go ahead.
They're effectively 2.5 games clear in 3rd spot, and now they're in danger of missing the 4 altogether. So, I think when you've got that opportunity, you've worked so hard to be in that position, you've got to make the most of it. Collegians made the most of their opportunity against Beaumaris on the weekend, registering a big win they needed to. Their percentage was diabolical. It's improved somewhat, but still not enough to get them out of 9th place. Will?
Yes, Collegians keep their season alive here with a massive win in the end. I think Beaumaris are starting to concentrate on under-19s because their 19s are a very talented side. However, no major excuses there. They were playing Collegians who were 9th. They should still be competing, and unfortunately they just weren't even close to the mark. Collegians had a good spread of goal kickers, and they were just stronger across the ground. So Beaumaris are probably going to go into this the rest of the season without another win, which is a shame, really. But they can rebuild for Premier B, and they've got a good bunch of young kids as well.